All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the Westside City's COG board meeting. It's Thursday, October 16th, and we're here in the wonderful city of Beverly Hills. Thank you so much, Mayor Nazarian, for hosting us. I'll call this meeting to order. It's 12:02 p.m. We'll proceed with a round of introductions and identify today's voting members. Have you begin?
Hernan Molina, Governmental Affairs Liaison, City of West Hollywood.
Mandy Jiang, Senior Management Analyst, City of Beverly Hills.
Sharona Nazarian, Mayor of Beverly Hills, voting member.
Dan O'Brien, Mayor of Culver City, alternate but voting today.
Shelley Wolfberg, Assistant to the City Manager, City of Culver City.
Excuse me, Jesse Swick, Council Member, City of Santa Monica, voting member.
Josh Kirpies, Council Office and Legislative Affairs, City of Santa Monica, non-voting.
Austin Sear, alternate for Supervisor Lindsay Horvath of the 3rd District, voting member.
Nick Fox Robbins, LA Metro, Local Government Relations, non-voting.
I'm Abigail Koshalik. I'm staff of the Westside City's COG, Council of Governments from Estelano Advisors, non-voting.
Hi, Lauren Langer, Counsel for the COG. Cecilia Estelano, Executive Director for the COG.
Go ahead.
Sherwin Chamoyle, Senior Field Representative from the Office of Assembly Member Rick Chavez Zipper.
And then, Abby, do we have folks on Zoom? Peter, go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, we have several city staff here as well. My name's Peter Mary, also Westside City's Council of Governments. I'll pass it over to Riley if he's available.
Riley is probably driving.
Hi there. This is Riley O'Brien, Project Director, Westside City's COG. If you can hear me, I am parking right now, and we'll see you all in person very soon.
Excellent. Be safe out there. Let's send it to Sasha.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sasha Ragland. I am also supporting staff with Westside City's COG.
Oscar Reyes.
Hi, it's Oscar Reyes, Culver City Planning Department.
Martha Eros.
Martha Eros, City of Beverly Hills, Transportation Planner.
Eric Rodriguez.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Eric Rodriguez with SCAG.
Ryan Hund.
Ryan Hund, City of Culver City, Transportation Planner.
Is there anybody else on Zoom that we can't see on this screen? Okay, great. Madam Chair.
Terrific. And I'm Chelsea Byers, Mayor for the City of West Hollywood and the chair for today's meeting. We'll move to item 3, our action items. We have the board meeting notes from the August 14th meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mayor. Can we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Councilmember Zwick. Can we have a roll call vote?
Yes. City of Beverly Hills.
Yes.
City of Culver City. City of Santa Monica.
Yes.
City of West Hollywood.
Yes.
County of Los Angeles.
Yes.
Motion approved unanimously.
Thank you. We'll move to item B, the revised annual budget for fiscal year 2025-26. I'll hand over the presentation to staff.
Great. Thank you,
Thank you.
Madam Chair. As the board will recall, in June, the board voted to approve our annual budget and our work plan together. We are coming forward with a very, very small amendment to revise our budget to add a $456 per year subscription to QuickBooks, a new software line item, so that the Westside City COG's new treasurer, which is now going to be the City of Santa Monica, can move forward with a QuickBooks subscription just for the Westside City's COG. So that would bring our total operating expenses up to $165,938. But as you'll note from the staff report, that still keeps us way above what we need to have as our minimum reserve, which is something like $27,000. We'll still have something like let me look at the staff report, like $160,000 in reserve. So we are $148,718 in reserve. So we would ask for your approval of this minor budget amendment so we can move forward with our brand new city treasurer, our COG treasurer.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? I have one question. we know that this treasurer role rotates around the cities. Will the QuickBooks account also rotate, or will this need to be a new annual
I would
consideration?
certainly, well, it would be an annual fee.
Okay.
But I would certainly hope we could carry this to the next treasurer since it's in the name of the West Side Cities COG.
Okay.
But thank you for that question. We'll certainly try to clarify that. The City of Santa Monica, the term currently is that the treasurer serves for 3 years.
Okay. We'll deal with it in 3 years then.
Okay.
Seeing no other questions, are there any public comments on this item? Okay. Can we get a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you both. Do we have a roll call vote?
Yes, thank you. Beverly Hills,
Yes.
so Culver City,
Yes.
Santa Monica,
Yes.
West Hollywood,
Yes.
County of Los Angeles.
Yes.
Matt, motion approves.
Thank you. We'll move to item C, the Transportation Metro Technical Advisory Committee, Streets and Freeways. We're appointing an alternate representative today, so I'll hand this over to staff to present.
Oh, happy day. At long last, we have someone who has stepped forward and would like to serve as the alternate for the Streets and Freeways Subcommittee of Metro. I'm not going to go belabor this, but we've been looking for somebody to fill this position for 2 years. So thank you to Mia Silver, who's a traffic engineer from Santa Monica. She submitted a letter of interest, and we are bringing forth her nomination and would ask that she be approved as our alternate representative on this very important Metro Streets and Freeways Subcommittee.
Are there any questions on this item? Any public comment registered on this item? Mia wouldn't happen to be here. No. Okay.
I think so.
Terrific. I just will say thank you to Santa Monica for stepping up in some very significant ways for this COG recently. Do we have a motion to approve Mia Silver?
I'll move.
Second.
Thank you both. We'll have a roll call vote. Welcome, Riley.
Okay. Beverly Hills, Culver City,
Yes.
Santa Monica,
Yes.
West Hollywood,
Yes.
County of Los Angeles.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Item D under transportation, the West Side Subregional Bus Infrastructure Network. We'll also hand this over to staff to do a presentation on this item.
You ready, Riley?
You ready?
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Just walked in, ready to go. Thanks, Riley.
this should be pretty straightforward. So back in February, you all approved the programming of $2.7 million for the Subregional Equity Program funds from Metro to go towards our subregional bus infrastructure network. We have since, of course, approved and are on the verge of executing a contract with the selected consultant, STV. Before we do that, per advice of legal counsel and Metro staff, we need to execute the funding agreement with Metro to access those in our case would be $1.7 million because of the April action to carve out almost $1 million for Culver City directly. So it's just approving the funding agreement with Metro to access those subregional equity program funds. All of those funds we expect will go to the consultant team from STV. And this has been reviewed by Lauren's team at the COG legal counsel level. It also includes the $500,000 advance pay request to ensure we have the cash flow to pay STV monthly invoices for what is a major project of designing these sub-regional corridors and bringing them to your jurisdiction for approval and comments and revisions throughout the process. So I think that pretty much covers it. And then this will allow us to execute that contract with STV. So I think with that, we'll take any questions from the board.
Are there any questions on item D?
Can I just make one quick comment?
Yeah.
Regarding the Sepulveda segment, I just want to elevate that there's a very, very tiny sliver of about 2 or 3 blocks in Culver City that is LA City. And once we get to the construction phase, the city of Culver City has already funded that for our section. It would be great if LA was in step with us when we get to that section. So just to kind of flag that, it's between Biona Creek and I believe 3 blocks to the north.
Certainly, and our hope is that not only would this process help to set the stage for using future SEP subregional equity program funds and other funds to be determined to implement that within the city of LA, that we would also be able to go north and south if the city approves it along Sepulveda to complete that route.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
We'll certainly try to get City of Los Angeles to come along.
Other questions? Councilmember Zweig?
This is just not perhaps directly related, but I was reading an article about the selection of STV, and the headline said to lead quick build bus improvements, and that was exciting to me. I like the idea of moving quickly, and I'm just curious, like, what that means exactly, and what what we're going to be able to do in order to move swiftly and efficiently of these improvements.
Certainly. Thank you for flagging that. It is actually, I believe it's the same press release, or at least a related press release is actually included in your packet as attachment B. The quick build concept ultimately, it does tie in with the planning for the 2028 games and the other mega events that are impending. We're hoping to have these corridors in full design, at least whichever segments move forward to that final design phase. We're hoping the full design is complete around this time next year. But we would talked about 14 months originally, and that would be end of next year, end of 2026. That would allow 2027 as implementation. That's about as quickly as you could possibly build this scale of project from our knowledge and experience. But yep, we're hoping to move as quickly as we can, and now this is kind of that last contractual hurdle to be able to do so.
I know I've received questions from the public about the decision-making timeline around the routes now that it's being made more public through a press release. Just can you remind, when the decision around those routes was made?
Yeah, so the choice of those 3 routes to move forward into the design process, that was a decision that the COG staff and COG working group worked together to recommend to you all back in January, early February of this year, and then you all on the board approved that those 3 routes in February. The decisions as to which portions of those routes will move forward, if not all of them, we still are hopeful that as much can move forward as possible. But those decisions of essentially refining this project more and more, it's going to gradually happen throughout the first half of next year. And we're looking at most likely we'll have a much more detailed update by December when we have our consultant under contract and we can have meetings with them and meetings with your staff. But ultimately, we're looking at early 2026 to mid 2026 to refine those details.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions from this board? Are there any public comments on this item? Okay, seeing none, we can take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
And can we get a roll call vote?
Yes, Madam Chair. Beverly Hills.
Yes.
Culver City.
Yes.
Santa Monica.
Yes.
West Hollywood.
Yes.
County of Los Angeles.
Yes.
All right, motion is approved.
Wonderful. We'll move to item E, housing, the La Casa Production, Preservation and Ownership, PPO, Notice of Fund Availability, and Westside COG call for Westside Developments. I'll take this back to staff for our presentation.
Great. And I'm just going to frame this a little bit briefly. You've been hearing a lot about La Casa. We've made you lots of presentations, but this is about us taking our portion of the production funds. It's coming to the Westside Cities COG, which at $3.5 million. It's not that much, but our hope is in this first round, the very first NOFA that La Casa is doing for these programs, that we might design a program that will enable projects on our West Side cities to be more competitive, competing for that larger pot of money. And so that's what we're asking you to do, is to authorize us to design a call for projects so that we could give our West Side projects up to 4 some pre-funding commitments to make them more competitive with all of the other cities in the county who are going to be applying for this pot of money. And Riley will provide more detail on this. But that's the main. There are 2 things we're asking you to do. One is to let us make comments on the NOFA that La Casa has put out there. But second is really the main one. It's about this call for projects for our projects in the West Side. And take it away, Riley.
Thank you, Cecilia. So to be very clear, as you can see in the recommended action, this action would authorize our staff, Westside COG staff, to work with all of your staff within the housing working group. So all of your planning and affordable housing focused staff to finalize and release what we're calling the call for West Side developments, and essentially to start that process of potentially offering those matching funds to go alongside La Casa's larger pot of funds. So the actual awards, if any, because at this point, we don't know exactly which developments are out there. We know about some of them, but we are asking developers to express interest. This is really to get the information we would need to come back in December and actually recommend a list of projects or a project or up to 4 projects to program some amount of this $3.5 million to tap into that notice of funding availability. And then the second item is really around the comment letter, which as we've done with many other countywide regional issues, we work with your staff. We'll work to draft a comment letter and ultimately receive comments, make sure that we have whatever comment we're making, given that we don't have time to bring it back to you all in December. Whatever comments we do make, we would just make sure that it's a consensus across the 4 cities who are receiving these funds would be eligible for these funds. So if we move to the next slide, just to back up a little bit, this $7 million is what we estimate for the COG automatic direct allocation of La Casa funds. We're one of the eligible jurisdictions, and we're eligible jurisdiction receiving funds on behalf of our 4 smallest cities. City of LA is an eligible jurisdiction, County of LA is an eligible jurisdiction. So that's why we're focused on the 4 smaller cities. These were estimates included in the expenditure plan. I do want to also caution, and it's something that we were reminded of today at the RPHP, Renter Protection and Homelessness Prevention Integrated Service Model convening that I just drove from. These were estimates made back in April and finalized in June. Sales tax revenues have been lower than expected, so these dollar amounts likely will be revised downward, would continue to be revised downward, but we'll continue to update you all with those details as they come in. But what we're really focused on for this item is that third line, the production, preservation, and ownership, $4.5 million set aside for the COG. If you go to the next slide, the approved budget that La Casa had approved and had allocated includes $3.5 million for new construction, $1 million for flexible funding. La Casa itself keeps about 30% of the total funds. So they actually have originally $53 million available for new construction. They're actually issuing or planning to issue a bond that would increase that number by about 4-fold to 200, maybe 5-fold to about $250 million. So on the next slide, you can see essentially our $3.5 million. It's not a lot compared to the $50 million, certainly not a lot compared to the $250 million that would result from this bond. So what we had brought to you back in August and you all had approved is this strategy and approach to take those $3.5 million in the new construction bucket and use that as leverage funding to obtain additional PPO funds from La Casa. La Casa in the month since, their board has developed their own PPO budget for those countywide funds, those discretionary funds. And they've decided, or at least tentatively, they have moved forward. They've decided to issue those funds in the form of a notice of funding availability. The primary way they're releasing those funds is through this first notice of funding availability, or NOFA. If you go to the next slide, you'll note that this NOFA was released September 26th. So it was a very quick turnaround to get to today. It's still in draft form. There's a 30-day public comment period, slightly longer than 30 days. Actually, we have until November 3rd to submit comments. It's about $210 million available across 10 different products with 10 different types of loans or grants. And there's really incentives here for a lot of different characteristics of developments. And that's one of the main reasons that we're recommending this call for West Side developments. So we can ask developers to provide these details and then work with your city staff to essentially assess which projects are going to be most likely to obtain those funds directly from La Casa, which of those projects we, as the COG and as cities have been supporting that we think are most, in need of those and most, clearly supported by our cities, and that would be, would get the most benefit out of some additional matching funds. So on the next slide, I believe we have just a bit more detail about the call for developments itself. We have a very rough draft in your packet along with the main text of the NOFA itself. But it's basically as simple as possible. We heard this from the developer community and from all of your staff many times. Just make it as simple as possible to let us know that they're interested in the La Casa NOFA and that they have these project characteristics that would make them competitive and that would make them, show that they have some need and some benefit from this scale of funds that we have to offer. So with that, I think we can move on to the next slide. Just a bit about the timeline. It lines up well because the final NOFA will come out November 21st, and that would give us time to probably have that call for projects open at least for a week or so, or maybe even just a few days, but we would be notifying folks about this very early on to basically let them know as soon as this final NOFA is released and what is in this NOFA, and we know it's in this NOFA from La Casa, let us know your project details. We'll be able to evaluate those, score those, and then bring back recommended funding awards again, if any, if city staff recommend those, for the December 11th meeting. And then the actual deadline for the La Casa NOFA is about a week later, December 19th. And so with that, I think the next slide is the recommendation. Would be happy to take any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. We'll go to Mayor Nazarian and Councilmember Zwick.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. I think it's exciting for us to be able to share these funds, and any way that we can help our 4 cities right now, it's really challenging, and this is something that will impact our state of city for all of our 4 communities. So the first question is, when we're looking at the criteria, who is developing those criteria of how these funds will be distributed? And can we have a working group approved by the board to be a part of that, those factors?
Yeah, so our main interest is making sure that our money will actually help our projects be more competitive.
Right.
If you think about it, that is the main criteria. But because there are 10 different funding categories in the NOFA as under La Casa, it's a little bit complicated. So to answer your question directly, yes, we had always intended to have a working group. We were thinking we'd use the existing housing working group that would help us, make sure we're getting it right in terms of how we would score these projects and how we would come to the board with recommendations. So that's our intent, all keying to what's in the final NOFA from La Casa. That's really kind of driving the criteria. Anything you want to add to that, Riley?
No, I mean, I think just that, La Casa has set the scoring criteria for their NOFA, and they're still accepting comments on that criteria. So there's still room for us to influence those scores. And that's something that the housing working group will work with us to influence. But ultimately, we want, as Cecilia said, to develop pretty straightforward criteria on how developments that are in our jurisdictions could align closely with that larger notice of funding availability.
I don't know who serves on that board, but I would like to recommend that other cities of the 4 have an opportunity to also share their views and what would be meaningful. I think that it's important that we have some form of fair way or equitable way to distribute the funds among the cities using clear, measurable factors, including like cities' sales tax contributions on Measure A, which is where a lot of these fundings are coming from. Additionally, I noticed in your report that it said preservation across the 10 products, but is it also preservation of, is there also, does it tie to preservation as well? overall?
So or
is
the
that just a
PPO
term you're
funds-
using?
So preservation is one of the eligible uses of the PPO category of funds, but that PPO category, production, stands for production, preservation, and ownership. It's split into two subcategories. Basically there's a production category and then there's an everything category. What the budget that you all approved back in August, it said, and I think we could go back a few slides to this slide, just showing that very specifically. It says that our PPO new construction, so if you go two more forward, the PPO new construction funds, $3.5 million, that is where we had seen and had received this guidance to use those new construction funds as leverage. The flexible funds are where we can actually spend on preservation of affordable housing. And that is so it's a different set of funds, and what we're recommending today is continuing to hold those $1 million worth of funds for additional uses next year, which could potentially involve the regional housing trust that we're exploring with our SCAG funded consultant. And that could also, would most likely involve these other specific uses of funds that were approved back in August. So essentially we're looking at that left column today, and the right column will continue working with your staff to program over the next few months, and our SCAG consultant.
Okay. And you want the cities to provide their feedback as to any properties that we've identified and are looking. It's a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah,
We're
it's
dealing
really
with governing.
it's really the pipeline. So there are these are projects that are well along, and that's the idea, is that so we would certainly be asking the cities, what do you know of that's happening in your city? We also would be doing outreach to developers, because we want to get this as much, but the criteria is you have to be in one of our cities.
And would it include projects that the city is looking at?
Housing.
Partnering with for affordable housing, specifically for affordable
Yeah,
housing.
if say it's a city-owned property and you're partnering with the developer, sure, certainly, yeah.
Okay. All right, those are my questions. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
We'll go to Councilmember Zwick and then back to you, Councilmember O'Brien.
So just based on timing, is the idea that the main prerequisite that they also be applying to this La Casa funding source, first of all?
Yeah, this is only for those who are applying for La Casa.
And the idea, I imagine, is that their scoring system on some level rewards other soft sources of funding or otherwise that would just make it that, I mean, I'm not sure exactly how it benefits, but I'd love to understand a little bit more why it's helps on their scoring end.
That is our assumption, right? That having additional sources of funding and the support of the regional, sub-regional body would make that project more viable and more feasible and more likely to be completed.
Yeah, well, I like the idea in general. It's not a lot of money, so trying to leverage it makes sense. You know, I think we all have cities with needs, but to me, it's really about the best, most shovel-ready projects. If they happen to be in Santa Monica, I'd be happy. If they're elsewhere, I'd also be happy.
Thanks, Councilmember Zwick. Councilmember O'Brien.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Thank you.
Mayor O'Brien.
No problem. I'm curious, this isn't necessarily a today discussion, I don't think, but going forward as we learn more about the capstone study and, you know, the regional behavioral health center, knowing that mental health is so closely tied to a lot of our unhoused, are we exploring having housing as a part of that regional behavioral health center? And if so, could in the future, once that's identified, could these funds go towards that?
These funds meaning our allocation of PPO funding moving forward. I think that is a possibility, and we have so many things moving on at the same time. So the behavioral health study, we have the housing trust fund study going, and we really view next year, as in 2026, as a time for us to kind of bring those all together with a strategy. So it might be that we decide that some of these PPO funds could be leveraged and used to advance the behavioral health center.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we don't know yet. I'm just being honest.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a let that happen. I am really excited about this being its first year and everything happening so fast. I really appreciate the creativity of staff here at the Westside COG to make sure that we're meeting the moment, getting involved in the NOFA that's happening. There are 10 different products that they've listed, and we'll be really interested to know if more are needed in the long term, if we can condense some of those categories. So we'll be really eager to hear back from you all as you're having conversations at the city level about their various projects that are in the pipeline, but even more eager as we actually start to hear from the developments that are out there and what continuous funding needs and gaps they're facing. I think that'll be where the rubber really meets the road. As Councilmember Zwick illustrated or indicated, it's so important that we just meet the shovel-ready projects as they are, keep things moving forward. And I know the trick in this first timeline will be to really understand the sort of projects that aren't eligible for La Casa funding. I think we're going to get a lot of strange examples, people maybe trying to see their way into a system that they really shouldn't be benefiting from. So this will be a really big learning opportunity, and really great to know that you're in such close contact with the cities to make sure the real projects are the ones that are getting advanced there. So thank you for your work on this. I'm very supportive. Do we have any other comments from or questions from the board before I go to public comments? And then do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Peter, do we have anybody online who wants to speak?
We do not.
Okay.
Does she want to speak? No. Hold on one second. Okay, I think we'll go ahead and go. Okay.
Yes, I gotta go.
Hi. Can I get you a microphone?
She said she's.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Denise Neal, Westside community member. I'd like to know how to qualify and get into the procurement pools for each of the projects coming up. And I'd like to know if transit-oriented developments are included in each of these, because I understand that at least 21% of each building has to be set aside for affordable housing. And I understand after attending the Architectural Commission meeting that you have very strict physical requirements for the features of each structure built. So I need to know what the process is. I have a colleague that lives right here down the street who also does commercial and residential real estate. She wants to also be in the procurement pool. We'd like to know with whom we should speak and how to follow up with all the projects that you need that are coming in the pipeline, because I also have a hedge fund that does building and they want to help this area build housing and commercial space.
Thank you. We can't address your question now in public comment, but we'll make sure somebody with staff can follow up with you after the meeting.
Staff will follow up with you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other public comments? Seeing none on Zoom or in the room, we'll move to a motion for approval.
So move. Oh.
Second.
I'll provide a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Mayor O'Brien and Councilmember Zwick seconded. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Yes. City of Beverly Hills.
Yes.
City of Culver City.
Yes.
City of Santa Monica.
Yes.
City of West Hollywood.
Yes.
County of Los Angeles.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Terrific. We'll move to item 4, our executive director's reports. Hand it over to you, Madam Executive Director.
All right. We are not going to belabor this because it's in the written report. I just wanted to make a few comments. Sorry, just give me a sense. We went so quickly.
We did.
Mostly what you'll see in the report is that we're actually moving forward on some of the other projects we mentioned in passing. The SCAG REAP 2.0, the Regional Housing Trust Implementation Plan. You've approved this project a while ago, and we are really just waiting for SCAG to finalize the contract with the consultant. We hope any day, and then we can move forward on studying how we can move forward with the Regional Housing Trust. Likewise, we have a report in here in the Executive Director's report about La Casa and their updates on the renter protection and homelessness prevention budget, including wanting to explicitly include a non-discrimination clause in their program prohibiting discrimination on the basis of immigration status, which is really important. Our staff here today was a little bit late because we were participating in the integrated service model meetings, which are a prerequisite for us to receive that 5% additional kick into our funds. So we're hoping that in the future, those can be scheduled at a time where our staff doesn't have to miss part of this meeting to participate.
That's right.
So we encourage you to read the written report. We don't have much more to add other than to say we're moving forward on the Local Solutions Fund in a much more streamlined way we're hoping to do. So Riley doesn't have to jet around the county to deliver checks by hand to our treasurer. And then lastly, the Regional Behavioral Health Strategic Plan Roadmap. We have executed that contract. So Mayor O'Brien, we can actually get moving forward on that bigger study. So things are moving, and appreciate your support in having a much more affirmative agenda with this board. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to item 5, legislation. We'll turn this over to Jeff Kiernan from the League of California Cities.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jeff Kiernan with the League of Cities. Just wanted to touch base on a few things. Obviously, my report was provided to you in the packet, but previous to the governor's signing and vetoing of several of these bills, I did email you an updated version last night. Hopefully, many of you have seen that. Just quickly, though, I do want to mention some disappointments with SB 707, the bill that's going to require cities to do a lot of translations, online comments, all these things related to the Brown Act. There is supposed to be cleanup legislation to that next year. We're not exactly sure what it's going to look like. There was a informational article in our California Cities Advocate newsletter that went out last night, also via email from the Sacramento office. I'll be sending that around again. If you didn't see it, that's fine. There was an additional, in fact, I'll be sending all this out, but there's additional information about some of these bills that just came out last night. So I'll be sharing that with you. The AB 650, the one that would have given cities an additional 6 months to work on their housing element and require HCD to be really specific. That unfortunately was vetoed by the governor as well. One of the good things that I know has been of interest to some of them in this room, SB 346, our sponsored bill that deals with short-term rentals and those websites. It gives you audit authority. That was signed by the governor, one of the nice bright spots in the legislative year. So it gives you better ability to police bad actors and also make sure you're getting the correct amount of TOT from those legal units in your jurisdiction. Something that's not in either of those emails or my briefing, but we're going to be hosting a webinar on December the 1st. I'll be sending that out later as well at 1 o'clock. This is predominantly for city staff, but this is to talk about all of those new laws that will be going into effect now that the legislative session has ended for this year. I also want to mention, obviously, I saw a few of you at our annual conference last week in Long Beach. I wanted to make mention, if you didn't hear or catch it when it was announced at one of the general sessions, but we gave out 3 Legislator of the Year awards, including one to Senator Ben Allen. So I wanted to make sure and give him his props. The senator has been a great colleague and partner in working with his cities. So we wanted to honor him as he gets ready to come off of the state Senate. That's predominantly the legislative piece I wanted to talk about. Happy to get into details with you on other bills or if you have questions. I did want to make mention, though, for those of you that have very high fire severity zones within your jurisdiction, I want to make sure that you're aware of the Board of Forestry's meeting on the 23rd of next week, talking about these regulations. Cal Cities has been engaged behind the scenes on this. I have some members who are very upset about the Zone 0 requirements, removing all of those combustible materials within 5 feet of structures, and others who, and a lot of the police chiefs in our organization are also supportive of this, where you have residents and some council on the other side. So we're not taking official position, but we are absolutely working behind the scenes. Our lobbyist who's been following this issue does not believe that the current proposed regulations will go into effect the way they are written. She believes it will be sort of loosened up a little bit in the process. So we're going to stay involved. Those are supposed to go into effect by the end of this year, but I'm not sure that timeline is actually accurate either. So, one quick last thing. The member survey that I included in that email last night, make sure you fill that out. Please send it to your department head, send it to anybody else in your city. We really want as much feedback from you on what's important for the coming year as we can get. That is used by our board of directors and our league leaders group in the beginning of December to really set our priorities for the coming year. So it's important that we get to hear from folks, as many of you as possible. So that's all I have, but happy to answer any questions.
Is there any questions, Mr. Kiernan? Go ahead, Mayor Nazarian.
Would you like to speak about SB 79?
Well, obviously, I know that some in this room attended the celebration that took place on Sunday evening. Disappointed that the governor signed it, but not surprised. We were really trying to protect cities' local control in this area. I believe there is the possibility of a lawsuit out there, possibly from the city of LA. Those don't tend to be successful. So I'm not necessarily going to hang my hat on those lawsuits, but we wanted to. Many of the cities, including cities in this room, have the opportunity, and the city of LA has a transit-oriented development statute already on the book. So why does the state have to come in and change it? So cities had the ability to do a lot of this work on their own if they wanted to already. But now we're looking at not even a statewide one-size-fits-all mandate, because much of the Northern California is excluded from the law, but it really does impact certainly all those cities here in LA County. And we're just going to have to continue to try and work with this legislature and with all of you to make sure to remind our legislators about the importance of our local planning process, which goes through the public process, as opposed to this one that comes down from Sacramento.
Any other questions? Thanks for a terrific annual conference this last year. This isn't an item we have public comment on, but I imagine he'll be here afterwards. Thank you. We'll move to item 6, announcements. Any announcements from the room?
I'll just say that Culver City is hosting the State of the City event on November 6th at 5:30. If anyone who wants to attend, love to have you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Best of luck. Yes, over here, Nick Fox.
Yes, so back in February, I believe it was February, at the Metro Board meeting, Director Yaroslavsky put forward a motion to create station activations as a way to make our stations more welcoming, feel safer, not only be safer, but to feel safer, which the perception of safety is important to us. And as a result of that motion, a station activation team has been created at Metro. We're going to be coming to the COG Transportation Working Group. I'm going to reach out to you to hopefully bring a presentation about the station activation work within all of your jurisdictions. And just know that it's something that we're thinking about the upcoming stations, how we can activate them with cultural, economic, and civic activity as a means to create a vibrancy that creates positive activity and decreases negative activity. So I'll be following up with you about that.
Great. I have one announcement. During the Cal Cities annual conference last week, the executive directors of most of the COGs, as well as the chairs, or as they're called in other COGs, presidents, gathered for one of the first times and made a decision as the chairs and presidents that we would be in regular discussion moving forward. The executive directors and staff have been doing that sort of engagement on a monthly or quarterly basis already, but there was some sense that given statewide, but also mostly county level opportunities, especially with the creation of La Casa, that there was a need for more collaboration and coordination and potentially shared advocacy opportunities, at the very least, having a greater window into what each COG is thinking and how we're, engaging around these different county level activities. So there isn't currently an LA association of, council of governments, but the intention was to maybe move in a direction that could get us there. So starting in January, the chairs, presidents will gather. We're uncertain if this is an in-person, if this is, over a Zoom sort of meeting, given how big this county is. We're going to figure out what that really looks like. And from that first meeting, we'll decide what it means to engage the rest of the COGs in that. I imagine that at many of the COGs, the capacity on the chair is going to be limited. So there may be an appointment opportunity. Right now, this is very informal, but I did want to bring it to this body so that you knew that this chair would be spending some extra time coordinating amongst the other COGs and trying to learn and share best practices. So I'll bring back those announcements, make sure I'm coordinating with our executive director on what that'll look like. And before anything gets made formal and any decisions like that are made, which I believe are many years away still, we work together to create the sort of input and feedback that a body like that would want to receive from a COG like ours, and from all the partners that we work with so regularly, so that whatever that association may become really operates in a way that is in accordance with the values of this COG, and with our bigger vision for our leadership in the county. So just wanted to make sure you all knew that, and any questions we can talk about. Really happy to hear any ideas that you want to make sure get expressed there from all of your vantage points as members of this body. Thank you. Okay. And there's no other announcements, we'll go to item 7, the future meeting and agenda items. Our next meeting will be held at the Culver City Hall, Thursday, December 11th at 12 p.m. Thank you for preparing to host us then. Do we have any other final public comments here or online? Yes, our guest in the back. Please remind us of your name. We'll get you a microphone.
Yes, thank you. I'm Denise Neal again, resident of Culver City. I would like to know if there's a way that we can identify all power players involved in getting ready for all of these international sports events we have coming, because Manchester Bidwell, a global entity that sets up national centers for arts and technology and workforce and opportunity centers, would like to help us to strategically set up centers along corridors of connection, and Metro will be perfect for that. I've been working on something called the Otter Project, on the train every rail, for 15 years to connect from Santa Monica up and from wherever the trains branch out back to Santa Monica, to be able to connect businesses, resources, and strategically place multi-jurisdictional law enforcement, first responder, and public service stations at our hubs and the terminuses of each train line. I know that we're expanding here on the west side, and I'd like to know how we can work with Ms. Yaroslavsky on some of these things. I know that the Expo line in Culver City falls within her purview, and I've spoken to her once or twice, but we've never spoken about this. I've also been in touch with Ms. Toy at MTA. I've spoken to the board at the Thursday meetings. I've spoken to the Department of Transportation. And when I was a commissioner in Santa Monica, I actually requested that they widen the terminus of the train in Santa Monica, which is why we're able to pull in 3 trains. I requested that when I was doing commissioner work. So I'd like to continue to work with MTA, and I'd like to check for interest of a color-coded train car system for safety on the trains. I've given all my plans to MTA. They liked what I brought, and I'd like to know what your input and ideas are on the possibility of a pilot program. How am I on time? I'm good? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Seeing no additional public comments, we'll go ahead and adjourn. It's 12:50. We'll see you at the next meeting. Thank you all so much for a great meeting.